That's some help, June. That's it. I just thought you guys were.
So you're on
One part of that jet ski.
Yeah, we're isolating it. Yes. Okay. Who's that civilian guy over there?
You still got a graduation here?
Yeah, yeah, he has an 8th grade graduation he's at.
Brian's pen. If the pen going, you call to order. Your thing. Of the Benedict City Council at 6:30. We'll start with the agenda check. Are there any requests or revisions to the agenda?
No, man.
All right. I invite everyone to join the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation and under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Reporting Robin, please call the roll.
Counselor Wright,
Present.
Council President Coy,
President.
Counselor Benson,
Present.
Mayor McCoy.
Present. City Reporting Robin, very much signed up to go to public.
Yes, we have 2 residents signed up for public comment this evening.
Okay. And speakers, you'll be limited to 3 minutes. The council will not engage in any discussion or make any decisions at this time. However, they will take comments and advisement. We open that over to all your parking seat staff. Please stand up when you're called and give your name and your address, and who will know this one?
We have Bill Gerlach.
Bill. Here.
Good evening, thanks for the opportunity to speak a few minutes on an important neighborhood issue. My name is Bill Gerlach. I live at 881101 Moore Lane in the Bruce Weichert subdivision east of City Park. And many of us new residents, a lot of us are right here, are from out of state and deliberately chose to live in Benita principally for the scenic charm and rustic bucolic ambiance to which the trees greatly contribute. So it was with surprise when we opened our water bill to discover that the city was planning on clear cutting all the trees east of the city park all the way to Jameson, which is the westernmost boundary of our subdivision. Now we understand the town's need for heavy equipment storage, and it makes sense. We get that, we have no problem. However, with consideration to the neighbors most directly impacted, we request a scenic buffer be retained for both scenic and environmental reasons. Accordingly, we canvassed the neighborhood and hereby present a petition of 19 residents, if people are here, that are requesting such a buffer. There was precedent for scenic buffer as Bruce Weichert and the railroad on the north end of our subdivision have a buffer. Further, the state of Oregon requires commercial timber operations to retain scenic buffer or corridor. So we're just asking for consistency. Clear cutting these trees directly impacts adversely our neighborhood. The impacts are more than scenic. The cutting removes a windbreak, needed shade, camouflage against the ugly cell tower, and a buffer against dust, noise, and preventing westerly winds. Removal will greatly exacerbate the city heat island effects and the quality of life. Curb cutting will remove access along the Cement Parkway to the Stations of the Cross, which is a scenic walkway behind St. Catherine's, which provides a safe corridor for pedestrians going to Territorial as opposed to Hunter Road or the normal sidewalks. And not to mention the economic impact on property values that this would have by clear cutting trees. Now, we've heard a counter argument that clear cutting is necessary as any remaining trees would be vulnerable to falling. But here are the facts. No trees have fallen on the north side along the railroad. Number two, the falling vulnerability of trees greatly depends on soil type, principally sandy soils. Bonita has 4 major types: Bonita loam, Willikinzie series, no tie series, and Walden series, none of which is sandy. They are either clay or loam. So therefore, we get it. Expand the maintenance yard, but please retain a scenic corridor, which makes Bonita a great place to live. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill.
The next, I can take them, right. And the next resident is Steve Fagan. Great, thank you.
State your name and address.
My name is Steve Fagan, 88109 Jameson. I pretty much agree with everything that Bill had said. But I would add, and he touched on it, the aesthetics of the park would be compromised with heavy equipment and city storage in full view of picnickers and citizens using the park. It would distract from the ambiance. We chose to move to Bonita for a small town atmosphere and majestic fir trees surrounding our neighborhood. We understand the city owns the property and needs a place to store equipment. We just ask for consideration for the surrounding residents and the Bonita citizens to keep the area beautiful. In closing, I would remind the city has a policy in place for permits when removing trees from property, and I would like the city to follow the same criteria. Thank you.
Other speakers, Jim?
There are no other speakers and no one else is on the phone.
Thank you for your comments and thank you for coming. The staff took notes and they'll be doing their job. Okay, thank you. So now we have a public hearing on proposal use of state shared revenue. I'm going to open the public hearing, proposed the state shared revenue at 6:36. City Administrator Michael, please present your report.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, this is a required public hearing to allow the public to hear how the council plans to budget for revenues that are coming in from the state. And as my memo addresses, those revenues are coming from liquor taxes, cigarette taxes, marijuana taxes, and highway gas tax. The attachment 1 in your packet provides the details of how we're proposing to allocate those revenues coming in. And I'll just refer you briefly to the totals by fund. So to the general fund, $75,000, to the law enforcement fund, $11,760, to Parks and Rec fund, $63,651. And then the largest fund for the highway gas tax is to the street fund, $396,301. This is how the city has traditionally allocated those funds according to policies that have been adopted over the years. In short, a portion of the state marijuana taxes are shared between law enforcement and Parks and Rec Department. The general fund receives the liquor taxes and cigarette taxes. And the Parks and Rec Fund receives a portion of liquor taxes as well. And again, the second allocation of state marijuana taxes is shared equally among law enforcement and Parks Fund. With that, Mayor, I'll turn it back to you. I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Do you have any questions from the council? Okay. Do we have any public comments?
We have no public comments this evening for that agenda item.
Thank you. All right, so I am now going to close that public hearing at 6:38. I am going to now move into our public hearing on the city fiscal year 2026-27 budget. I am going to open the hearing, the fiscal year 2026-27 budget at 6:39. City Administrator Michael, please present your report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. So this is a familiar document for you when you sat as a budget committee along with 5 other residents of City of Bonita. That budget committee that met on May 28th adopted a approved budget after having received a recommended budget. And so this is the public hearing on the approved budget coming forward from the budget committee. And at the next city council meeting is when will be your opportunity to then adopt a budget. So for this public hearing, included in your packet is a summary, and I've provided you a hard copy, ridiculously small, but it is much larger electronically, of what was published in the newspaper by state requirement of the proposed budget in context with the prior budget and prior actual year. So this is provided to the public to give them an overview of what the proposed budget, the approved budget looks like. And I've also included in your packet the summary page of resources coming into the city and requirements for which are expenditures that the city expects to have. With that, I will also make council aware that in conversation with our city accountant, one element that we will suggest that the council adopt at the next meeting with the adopted budget is a change to the reserve governmental fund. And I provided you a copy of that single fund. We didn't have any expenditures planned there, and this fund is comprised of 2 things. $25,000 that was put into this fund back in 2014 to start accruing money to expand City Hall. And the interest has been accruing all that money. But what also goes into this fund every year is a state required 1% of our state highway funds that we're required to spend on bike and pedestrian elements of transportation projects. So the funds are mingled there in your total ending fund balance. And there was a suggestion at the budget committee of perhaps we break out the city hall funds and put it as an expense. That way it sits apart, and we may or may not have an opportunity to expend that. But at least it sets apart, and we are able to see how much money is truly sitting in that ending fund balance, which is reserved for bike and pedestrian improvements in the streets. So we plan on making that change, which will have ultimately, it will lower the ending fund balance, and it'll increase the requirements or the expenses. But really, it's just shifting the money from one category to another. So we would suggest that the council approve that in the adopted budget coming up. Are there any questions about that? All right, then one last thing. Some of you may recall back in, when was this? October 2024, after research and consideration, a council stipend policy was adopted that would not go into effect until after every sitting elected official at that time had already stood for election. And that will happen this fall. So this policy will go into effect in January 2027 during this next fiscal year. So going into effect in January, there will be 6 months of a stipend paid out. And just to remind you, refresh your memory, the mayor would get a monthly stipend of $150, council president $125, and each councilor $100. And again, just to refresh your memory, reasons behind this were to allow spending time and resources maintaining a home office, complying with public meetings and ethics laws, the hours away from their families for various meetings and trainings, and internet access in order to receive city emails and connect to city business. Also to open up the possibility of parents with children that could also pay for babysitting out of that stipend. So in a way to make the city serving as a city councilor more accessible. So we estimate about $3,500 is what this will amount to for this upcoming budget. It was not factored into the budget. However, we feel that because of our conservative methodology of budgeting, where we round up for expenses, we round down for revenues, we suspect that we may well cover that additional expense. But what we would like to suggest is we monitor that expense line once January comes along, and as we get into April, that if we do see it coming close to coming to the department budgeted item, that I bring to you a transfer of appropriations resolution to move. I'm expecting at most $1,000 or $1,500 from the contingency fund to fill that gap, if any. So I wanted to make you aware of that, and that we've talked about it and figure we can manage this expense as we traditionally do as we start to close out the budget year next spring. Any questions about that? Okay. With that, Mayor, I will hand it back over to you and happy to answer any questions.
There's no one on the phone.
Now I will close the public hearing at 6:45. Into the consent agenda for approval. Does any councilor have any item they would like to move to the consent agenda for discussion? And a motion for the approval agenda.
I make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Second. I have a motion second. City Recorder Rollins, please call the roll.
Counselor Wright, Council President Coy,
Aye.
Counselor Benson,
Aye.
Mayor McCoy.
Aye. Motion passes. It's time for a monthly public safety report. Sergeant Parker, please present your report.
Mayor, good evening, everyone. As you can see in front of you, I have some numbers where we saw a slight jump in public health service. And then looking through the calls, it looks like we had numbers that in contacts in addition to other markets. That seemed to be the biggest jump. Individual welfare calls went up a bit. This does typically kind of jump around. It's not super consistent. It seems like there's calls here that there's more welfare checks and suicidal subjects, software goals. A particular person or instance possibly. Our vehicle related calls for service climbed a bit with illegal parking, a number of reckless driving calls. They're only resulting in none of reports. Nothing too concerning with that. Talk about a couple calls for service. I'll kind of generalize this first one. You guys might be already aware, but on the 14th of this last month, there was a call for service in the 88,000 block of 6th Street. It gained a little traction with local news. It was small. It turned out a young girl called for a medical event involving her parents. When we arrived there, the living conditions were pretty horrific. I can't talk too much about it just because charges have been done up to the DA's office and they're sitting there waiting just for deal. This last month, we did have a number of calls related to the 88,000 block of 3rd Street and 25,000 block of 3rd. Another of these calls come back to a certain individual who's struggling with mental health and in the process of losing her apartment. We're dealing with it. There's not a lot of criminal aspect to it. It's a lot of just nuisance from one neighbor to the next, argument and something like that. Right? I spoke with Matt about the upcoming 4th of July and the concerns around the fireworks in the area, and so I spoke to our deputies and kind of outlined a process to handle some of that. It gets a little tricky in that 4th of July for the county is kind of chaos and crazy. So to get him a cover unit out here that day would get tricky, but we have state police and can tie other resources, but he's gonna do his best to see if you can, kind of set some examples of when there's tame that behavior down. Hopefully the days leading up to it, so the day of is a little smoother. That's all I have on it.
Any questions? I don't have one. How's our homeless doing?
I think pretty well. We did have to take some recent action out on 400 and that some ongoing behaviors with one of them. Caused him to get trespassed, but he's handling it well. He's come here seeking permission to go down and remove his properties because he did have a number of things down there. And honestly, the last couple of interactions with him have been pretty good. So I don't know if he's seeking help or if maybe that was a realization, whatever it worked. And so he's not allowed to be back down there for 6 months, but we'll see how it goes. Outside of that, we're seeing a small influx of people. I need to follow up with some folks in Eugene to figure out why people might be being referred out there. I need to chase that down because it's not from first-hand information, so.
Seems good. Any questions? Anything for the department? Now we have proposed amendments to the employee handbook. HR Coordinator Robert, please present your opening.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and councilors. Every year we review the employee handbook and we also have some requests from staff regarding changes. You have before you resolution number 1480 to amend the employee handbook for fiscal year 2026-27. The proposed changes include federal and state changes to some leave language, which includes definition of family, updating language and permitted uses for employee leave, incorporating changes related to paid leave Oregon, and acknowledging the city's commitment to new pay transparency requirements. There are also requests that were approved by the city administrator that came forward from staff, and they're outlined in about 7 bulleted items that were on the agenda item summary. So with that, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
Well, we're missing
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 1480. A resolution amending the Veneta Employee Handbook and repealing resolution number 1445 as presented.
Is there a second? I'll second. We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
All right, next we have a cell tower lease amendment. City Administrator Michael, please get your.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. You may recall back in October, we updated the cell tower lease agreement for the cell tower up on Bolton Hill by our water tank. I briefly in my memo mentioned some of the terms there. We extended it for an additional 5-year terms. We're receiving a higher lease payment at a greater escalation rate, and we did receive a one-time $25,000 payment for that extension. Also part of that extension was the option to expand the footprint for the cell tower at that site by 500 square feet. We talked that over. We felt like that was doable at the site. And so what you have before you tonight is actually exercising that option. And because it will be a recorded document, I thought it would be prudent to have the council on the record authorize me to sign the appropriate documents to have that recorded and allow them to work with that additional 500 square feet. That, Mayor, I'll hand it back to you. Happy to answer any questions.
Anything extra?
I suspect it's for a backup generation.
Yeah, they wanted a backup generation, also to have a little bit bigger footprint for additional equipment for more people to be on the town.
If you're curious about what that might look, the cell tower over by the water public works yard there, that adjacent to the city park, you can see that there can be buildings, there can be generators, other equipment. It's a larger footprint there. But this one would, basically equipment that would complement the equipment on the structure.
Any other questions?
I make a motion to authorize the city administrator to execute the second amendment to option. And lease agreement with American Tower as presented.
Is there a second? A second. I have a motion second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. We're going, we have one applicant for the vacant planning commission position. I propose to appoint Stephen Bonar to the vacant position if there are no objections from the council. Are there any objections? All right. So I appoint Stephen Bonar, or Bonar, is that how you say that?
Bodnar.
Bodnar, to the planning commission. Okay, we have a fee waiver request from the DFW Jack Kelly Post for observing the community center to hold a recognition dinner. Is there any discussion?
If I may, just real quick, I have your tracker here and I updated it with the $45 that's being requested for this recognition.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I entertain a motion for this agenda item.
I make a motion to waive the rental fee for the community center for the VFW recognition event. And have that fee paid from the council discretionary fund for $45.
Is there a second? I have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. The second fee waiver, we have a second fee waiver request, and this one is for Blood Works Northwest. We're serving the community center to hold a free blood drive event starting in July. Are there any questions?
Mayor, if I can just briefly qualify that these events will happen next fiscal year after July 1. So consequently, I did not add it to your score tracker or your discretionary fund tracker. It will be on the new one that I provide to you after July 1.
Are we just ready?
Not yet.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I think we did increase it from the council discretionary fund. It was at 9,500. Yes, I think we moved it to 11,500 based upon the amount of requests that are coming in. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna entertain a question.
Make motion to waive the rental fee for the community center for 3 Block Works Northwest blood drive events. And have that fee paid from the council discretionary fund for $435.
Is there a second? A second. I have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, we will get to council again reports. Okay, I'm gonna start off with. Right.
The BAC did not have a meeting, but what we did do was go tour the attic space, so that, or should I say Smitty's? It was lovely, and it was nice to see the progress and everything that they've done. It was great. And my next meeting with Aiden Act will be Wednesday. And that is it from her.
Thank you, Council White.
So for Mid-Lane Cares, we have a board meeting on Thursday. Our next event really is the Harvest Festival, which is coming up on September 12th in downtown. That's last year we had about 90 vendors. We're anticipating having to bring it further down Broadway this direction to accommodate that. In conjunction with that, Kiwanis is putting together the Kiwanis Cruise In. We had a same day, same place, just in conjunction to each other. They had 147 vehicles last year. And the folks in Junction City put a big article in there in their functions for junctions. So We're anticipating, they have about 700 cars in Function for Junction. We don't have room for 700 cars, so, we're not sure what we're gonna do. But those are the big things coming, takes a whole lot of planning, but it's, the biggest event of the year. And so that's kind of Mid-Lane Cares and Kiwanis, working together. And Kiwanis is also going to be helping at the pool functions, cooking hot dogs. And they just did a thing over at Elmira Elementary called Chocolate Walk, and so we do a lot of different things as Kiwanis, so I think that's everything.
Counselor.
For the park board, I can tell you that they're working to make decisions about what kind of park equipment is going to go into Bolton Hill. If anybody here has any druthers or opinions about that, you should come to a park board meeting and state your case or preference or something before it gets purchased. I'm sure Grant's gonna come along very soon. And Kyle will be making a decision and it's gonna happen. So it's just basically to help busy the children, the littles maybe who have nothing to do while their elder children are playing in the field. Oh my goodness. What's that thing called? What else can I tell you? There's a sponsorship program that the park board is working on now to raise money for the funds for this and that, tables and other park equipment, things that need for the park. And that's kind of it for right now. I have a meeting for the Lane County Public County Commission on Homelessness next Wednesday, so I'll report on that in the following meeting. And I also fraud. And this is the thing I promised you last month that I forgot to bring. This is my vision, my artist rendering for the potential transitional housing program that we are working or considering and we need a just a reminder that you like it. So I'm going to repeat there. So I'm looking for 15 units and for singletons, and then maybe 2 for really desperate families who might fall through the cracks. You'll notice I've been putting stuff maybe on Facebook, and I just want to remind everybody that there's 5.2% homelessness, unemployment rate right now. That means that 5.2% of people cannot get a job, which means they cannot afford housing. And we're also short 96,000 houses or units in the state of Oregon, which means they're not even available if you're looking for them. And the current wait for transitional housing in Eugene, there's a wait list of 200, and we have our own 20 sitting right here. And I'm just a point of, I'm gonna tell you this every single month, and so that you're armed with information as to the people who say that these people should just get jobs and stop living in their cars and they need to get a life. So if anyone else has interest in seeing it, I think that this plan, this rendering is kind of in line with what everyone's village is like, everyone village, and it'll include wraparound services, and the person who's in charge of that, Gabe said that he would assist us with putting this on. So I'm just planting the seed. I just need some land. And that's all I have for you today.
Okay, I have a question. When you talked about the park for kids at Bolton Hill.
Yep.
That's gonna be open all the time for other kids, so you don't have to.
Oh, yeah, it's just kind of the intention is that the mother's has 2 kids and one of them's in the club and the other one isn't. It's also
The kids can ride.
any kid can do that, yeah.
I'll go into my report. So June 10th is our luncheon. Jacob Ford on city management analysis will be presenting the business identity and branding efforts. We are working with Eugene Yacht Club for the Thistle Class National Regatta that's coming up in July. We are working on getting coupons for all the businesses or, to put together, and they have bought, some hanging flags, so we need some specific flags. So when they come in spinning, they know that they can use that coupon for there. And that's what we're working on with our, regatta that's coming in town. The chamber we're doing preparations for our Yankee Doodle celebration, July 4th. And the native pickleball tournament on July 27th. I think on July 4th, I think the Columbus are doing hot dogs that day too, so, okay, and, let's see, yeah, so, for the EDC, the committee is working the committee is working for downtown property, what we're doing. They're doing some development in asking for community encouragement for what we want to go in there. So right now we're in the beginning of that. So if you guys want to put some input, you can.
We can do that. I'm sorry. I don't know how we do that. Is it like a?
They're okay, they're gonna be put stakes out with that. Or anyone have any suggestions. And then I do not have a report for ALCOG. I did not have a meeting last month, so that will be coming up soon. As you notice, anybody coming down Broadway, our flower baskets are up. Thank you, Kyle. I know you have probably how many sitting in your public works, because you didn't get the.
There's still at least 8 over there. I'm
Just
not
8
sure.
then.
Yeah. I ordered those other hangers. They will be a couple weeks out yet. We'll babysit those until then.
Yeah, they're big. Oh,
They're very big.
huge.
They're
Normally when you get them, they're kind of small, but they're
Big.
big now.
and very heavy.
Well, thank you. for your staff. We appreciate it. Okay, that's it for my report. Okay, let's now, we're gonna have, property and liability. Which are, please present your.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors. And tonight, we're asking if council will authorize the payment for our city county insurance services invoice to renew our property and liability insurance, which we review and renew every year. This year for 26-27. We plan to continue the usual property and liability insurance coverages, and we're going to continue the optional cybersecurity coverage. And the total premium, which is $92,663.85, is actually almost 2% smaller than last year because the city has very good ratings. And so we did a little bit better this year. And so we worked with our new agent of record, which is Assured Partners, and they helped us work through this. And so we're asking the council to consider this. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
I think all of you.
I make a motion to authorize pay the CIS invoice for $92,662.85. And thereby renew the city's property and liability insurance coverages as presented.
Do I hear a second? Second. Right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
I
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Jen. Okay, we have an update for benefits. For example,
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening. So this is an update to the pool employees handbook that was actually updated last year. This was intended to include some new wording regarding the new state supervision requirements for kids to be able to be at the pool. We also had some clarity on some other items such as surveillance and distraction prevention for our lifeguards, timekeeping expectations, clarity on personal device use at the pool, and different language throughout the manual to help clarify some of the things that were in there last year. The most significant updates was for the changes for OHA rules for pool supervision. They were changing it to 14 years old, which would require an 18 or older person to accompany them to the pool. We've actually heard today that that may be changing. That may be going back down to 11 or so. So I may come back a little bit later to,
Another
so
change.
for another change to make it whatever the rule is, but we will be opening the pool this next Saturday to the public. We're actually open tonight to do registration for swim lessons and to sell passes and stuff. I've got a full crew over there tonight doing that. And we are going to open with what the rules are as they are today, which is the new rule that says you have to be 14.
How are you going to enforce that?
That is a wonderful question.
Thank you.
One that I think many pools across the state of Oregon are all asking.
Because you're turning your employees into police.
Well, it's just, I mean, in our case, you know, we're lucky that we're a small community. We serve a large population that comes through there, but our lifeguards and office staff get to know who the kids are. And when we sign up for passes and stuff, we do ask age. So there will be some of that. But it is going to be a tough thing across the state for people to make sure that any 14 and under person has an 18-year-old with them at the facility. It's going to be tough. And I think the OHA is hearing that from not just the pools, but I think from the public that are like used to dropping off their kids at, you know, 11, 12, 13 years old to recreate. So anyways, so you may see me come back for that. At this point, we're asking to update the manual as stated with resolution 1481. So I'm happy to take any questions.
So let's say a 14-year-old comes in, 2 14 comes in, can 1 18 be?
Correct. Yeah, they don't have to be, but you just have to have an adult identified with them. So it's the same as if a family came in, the dad can have 6 kids or whatever with them. It works. But
Any questions? No? Okay.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 1481. A resolution adopting the Veneta Community Pool Employee Manual and repealing resolution number 1446 as presented.
Is there a second? Have a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Hopefully we can get that taken care of. Does any council have any questions for the city administrator? Is there any other?
Am I allowed to say something about the second graders?
Oh, yeah.
Kyle and I got to dazzle the second graders from Veneta Elementary on Thursday or Friday.
Friday for in here. I had them Wednesday
Yeah.
at Public Works.
Anyway, Kyle did an amazing job and I didn't know that I had to do it 4 times. But they split the classes in half and there are 2 classes, but you know what? It was fun to have the kids in here. They were well behaved.
Great.
And it was kind of a treat to let them get in the schools anymore. So I appreciated Kyle and him dazzling the kids with a map and everything and talking to them, and I think it was a good event. So
We got some-
appreciated being part of it.
We got really good feedback from the teachers. They thought it went really well. So
Good.
thank you for doing that.
Thanks for.
Yeah, I just had to do it 14. Kyle said, "Well, you know what you're doing?" I said, "I have no idea."
We figured it out. It was what your part of it went very well. And the kids had fun.
It was scared.
If you read your Monday form, they went to Whitman to Portland. And Richard. Leadership class. And. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come to my consideration. Everyone was so impressed that our mayor was there. It meant a lot for me that you were there. Thank you, Pam. And it was really good. It was a real good, don't congratulations. Then can you say about that?
Just that, I appreciate Ann taking the time. This was a, 9-month, I believe, program. It's hosted by League of Oregon Cities. The group is Northwest Women Leadership Academy. I think they said they have about 130 alumni now. And it's right. And it's a cohort that they developed to support one another and encourage, thinking about career development and, bringing others along. So it's a great program. I'm glad Ann stepped forward to participate, and I think she'll continue to enjoy the benefits of being a part of that.
Did she get a raise? Did she get a raise from the certification?
No.
But she doesn't.
I know. They haven't raised. She liked it.
Okay, so right now I'm gonna ask Rose from LFA if you had anything to share. Not?
I'll give an update on our previously.
I haven't seen anything, so.
I guess everybody probably knows by now that LFA did not pass their,
Didn't.
request for operations levy, which means we did not get the 20-cent increase, but we also lost the 35 cents that we. So we had hired 3 people, 3 engineer, firefighters, paramedics with that. And had been paying them for the last 5 years. Those were directly in the data. So the board of directors right now has, with the budget committee, passed a budget for next fiscal year. That current budget includes no ambulance service. We are hopeful that through contract negotiations with our labor group that we may be able to keep the ambulance service in some way, shape, or form. Whether it looks the same as it is now, that's unlikely. But we're looking at potentially 9 layoffs of the employees, so. More to come, that budget will likely be adopted, but if we're able to do something within labor negotiations as well, then we may do a supplemental budget. Things right now, so really difficult times for the fire authority. Doing the best we can, want to continue to provide good service. Unfortunately, this is something that's going to impact service levels. So.
Thank you, and we have your back.
Keep you updated.
Yeah, the mission. Right, thank you. All right. I'm gonna adjourn the Veneta City Council meeting at 7:16. We are going to go into these I'm gonna call it to order this week. The Veneta Urban Renewal Agency at 7:16. City Clerk Robin, they're able to find up to give public comment.
There's no one signed up for public comment, and there's no one on the phone at this time.
Okay, thank you. So let's hear about borrowing money to pay for the urban renewal projects from the city administrator and Michael. Matt, please present your.
Thank you, Chair McCoy, members of the board. This is something of an inside ball request, a technical request. I'll just try to briefly summarize it as I did in my memo. Urban renewal funds are property taxes that are allocated from taxing authorities into the urban renewal fund. And under Oregon's constitution, those taxes cannot be then, what is it called? Provided out, but for indebtedness. And so we conferred with the Oregon Department of Revenue of, does that effectively mean that we need to borrow money and then put that money into an operating account and then repay that debt in order to meet the constitutional requirement of only expending urban renewal funds for indebtedness? Department of Revenue said, yes, that's pretty much how the Constitution requires you to do it. So in the urban renewal agency budget, we had budgeted to transfer $5.8 million roughly of property tax receipts into an operating fund that we would then expend on the Golden Hill Sports Project, on the matching grant for the attic property as well. However, based upon the actual receipts coming in for those projects, we are proposing to only borrow $4.5 million. And what we will do is we will work with KeyBank to effectively get a 5-day promissory note, create that debt instrument, have KeyBank provide us the debt proceeds, put the debt proceeds into the Urban Renewal Agency operating fund, and then take the Urban Renewal Agency's debt service fund to pay off that debt within 5 days, thereby meeting the constitutional requirement. So like, as I said, a bit of inside ball, but we checked with Department of Revenue and they didn't let us do it any other way. So that's the request before you tonight is a resolution to approve us to undertake that debt instrument in order to put those funds into an operating fund to pay for urban renewal projects. With that, Chair, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 131, a resolution authorizing the borrowing of money and funding of tax increment
Oh, okay.
revenues as presented.
Is there a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, who was the second? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Thank you.
Board member.
Okay, I'm gonna go, is there any other? I have one. Kyle. Update on Golden Hill Complex.
So moving slowly, we are, I don't know if anybody's been over there lately, but the AstroTurf infields are in. I did the final walkthrough on those last week. They're continuing to bring in trucks for the soil that's needed out for the outfields and the soccer fields there. That has been a very slow process. We thought we would get several trucks a day and we're getting just a couple trucks a day. So that's been taking that down a little bit. There have been a couple of items that we've identified. I'm sorry, it's going to cost us to, of what I thought were going to be safety hazards out there. That I'm currently working for change orders to fix. There's just some things that I thought would be a lawsuit waiting to happen for us. Working on that with the contractor, trying to get that written down so that everybody knows what we're doing. The overall project should still be done sometime this fall. The first phase. Yeah, just so for full disclosure, part of the problems we had is that the fence contractor that the prime contractor hired as their sub folded. They actually went bankrupt here, just kind of out of the blue on us, and it left them sitting there wondering what to do. They have now since got momentum on that. They've got people out there fencing and all that's going in, but it did slow the project down a little as well. Phase 2, which is the playground area, I was in discussions with the contractor today. Because of our delays in phase 1, that large pile of dirt that's over there is actually right smack in the middle of where phase 2 should be. So I was talking to them about adjusting a schedule, and they were very flexible. This is Riverbend Construction. They're very flexible with me, and they said that they could wait until October to start, or not October, excuse me, August, and still finish in October. So that's kind of the tentative plan at this point is we'll hopefully have them on board. We've signed all the contracts and done everything at this point, but their start date would be probably closer to August, the first or second week of August. So, but that one should go much faster. That should be about a 120-day project. So, yes, nothing.
Yeah. Thank you. We're looking forward.
Yes, it'll be very nice when it's done.
I'm to adjourn the Benita Urban Agency at 17. We are done.
No.
Wow.
Install URA. It says we're done.
Did you?
So you can see.
I am.
I'm so stuck.
None of that.
Okay.
I think going forward.
Immediately.
Well,
Okay.
there was the.
Those, what were the final numbers on that? How close was it?
Yes and no.
I just hadn't seen the final count.
Oh, I said, yeah. How I know something like you ever looked at. It makes me, leave spice, maybe, well, maybe I'm gonna make my spice. It's too tame. Yeah, I'm going on 10 years, man.
Well, sorry. That's.
And now we're in this community, let's do this is fine. Here, just wait, doesn't mind. And like, I'm figuring understand that for you. The flavor of the boy.
It's so hard to be happy you mentioned that.
That's all I think. But yeah, you've been prepared.
I'm not that.
Oh, I think, I got some physical. Another one where. They brought it. No,
If I get the money, then I can move forward with and find this property and.
You can't really say.
From Harley. How far of the big ones from. And of course.
Third job.
Yeah. So our street dance.
Oh. Yeah, sure. How many do you need?
How much?
They get great teachers. Pretty tight.
I want it.
And then like.
Century. Yes.
Yeah, curator, but they can do it, slow, like,
So.
brisket and things like that. Practice makes a little bit, but in practice, you can see the things.
I got my first, where, married, and it so I took some, so I need to be time for me to go for that. Then it's the kind of when I go online, then it's a good house. As long as
Being that part of mine, but as training, it seems fine and stuff like that. Oh, no.
New to the area.
Oh, that's the question mark. Okay.
You live over there, the white homes too?
I do, yeah.
Brand new house.
Yeah.
I just feel like if I can get trees that people
How long?
won't not notice that there's.
Yes.
I'm also, I mean.
So the best thing is to fit, but if we're, at least it's just.
Well, the youngest things is there's
Yeah,
probably.
I wanted to see, I don't remember even specifics.
The really people system.
No, I'm serious, Dr. Her.
Yeah.
She's, she's
And it
number two in the dollar thing.
might be, I'll find
So,
out, it might be fun to take her.
Very nice, but was, because I feel like I'm pushing
Are you
it.
familiar with their website and see?
I was like, August, I was listing for shipping ones, but, what I know in town,
Yeah,
we
we
just,
just-
is a big thing for you guys looking for access. and
Just
stuff.
because it's right next to all the services.
Yeah, right. Makes total
Rick.
sense.
Yeah, so, we have opening.
So I heard that, we drew him about it right now, so that's where let's find out, you know, what they need.
Oh, I know you said too about that.
But you have to think people for accounts. It's me.
How long have you been?
Having to put it in.
Where would they build those? Or something that people maybe don't like, but I mean, this is always just a hard sell for people anyways, but I'm trying to make it look beautiful. So that it's an easier pill to swallow. People can't smell. They don't mind if they're living in the backyard or wandering around.
Right.
It's good.
Bruce.
So yeah, I.
Bruce.
I was
looking at
something just. There might be.
It is 7:30 right now.
Right.
Bruce does a
But
good
it
job.
is.
That's a good representation.
I try to get that, you know.
Try to hold on.
It doesn't have to look like.
Yeah.
That's just.
So take a look at it and then, we've got to go up and look at it. It.
And we were in trouble long before you came along.
I'll do it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing that I got up and
And then,
I think
Do you feel like if you have to make a profit, like?